What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert E. Felice.
Welcome to the NXT Battleground 2024 Ring of Honor predictions at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada.
All of that.
There's so much here with this one show. I am very excited for this show.
I am. Let's. Well, again, I don't want to start off all these podcasts by being like, "Hey, everything is awful in my life," and I can't go a single day without talking about getting hit by a bus.
But you just did. So since we're there,
but I did, and I do, and. So, yes, full transparency, like I am very burned out on a lot of things right now, just in life in general. I mean, breathing seems like it's a process. And, I would love to say that I was in the right mindset to really appreciate this for what it is. And if I would have even gone, you go back a couple months ago, if you present this exact same thing to me and all the things that are happening right now that are stressing me out are not on the table, yeah, this is a pretty fun and interesting pay-per-view. Now, I will say we are doing predictions for this. That's, what you clicked on, predictions post. But I don't 100% know for sure if we are doing a post-show for this. And that is, that's a payback for me saying about breathing. That is partially dependent upon, let's be honest, my mental health. But it is also very much dependent upon Caitlin's wedding. I am going to prioritize my friend's wedding over doing a post show for this.
You're not doing anything special during the wedding, are you?
I'm just marrying them.
So, oh well,
I'm just.
They don't need you there for that.
I'm just the facilitator of saying, do you, and then Mazel Tov or whatever. That's not something I'm planning on saying. That would be another whole thing, as if I didn't know about that. But I will prioritize that if that is the case. And there used to be a version of me even a couple months ago that would have been like, yeah, I'll figure it out and whatever. I don't know for sure. So it's going to depend. And I will say this as not even just like we may or may not be doing it. We may or may not, and we might just like lump this into some kind of other discussion or whatever. But if we do have a post show, you might be able to see Drew White on it, because Drew is going to be staying with us. And I'm sure if Drew is not busy doing something else, that he will, fucking sit next to me and do the fucking post show or whatever. So it might end up being a regular post show. It might end up being one with special guest Drew, and it might end up not being a thing that we do because I might just be busy doing something else. I don't know. So we will talk about this at least in prediction form right now, and it is up in the air about the other stuff, and I probably won't even know until Sunday. So keep a pin in that. Hopefully we will see you and we will be doing all this stuff. But in the meantime, if you don't know what's been going on with Smark Moment, you should probably be aware of all that stuff, because you probably are one of the regulars that listens and you understand. But we are in desperate need of some extra funding to keep this going. So $1 a month sounds kind of ridiculous for some people, but it does help out a lot, especially the more people that do it. The hot tags may be going over to a $5 a month tier. It depends on how much everybody can show their support. If I get 50 people that end up donating $1 a month, then I won't do it. And that sounds kind of ridiculous because it's only $50. It's less than $50. Let's put it that way. But, there's the Darkcast tier. There's Pick Your Poison tier if you want to sponsor something directly. If you want to pick up merchandise, every little bit of that helps on Redbubble and TeePublic. The Patreon and the YouTube channel membership, all those things, the thanks button, the super chats and all that, they do make a big difference. And they make a big difference when it comes to the actual functionality. And it also makes a big difference in my, ability to just be like, okay, let me stick it out another day. So keep all that in mind. If you want Smark Moment to continue, show your support, hit the like button on this video. I keep saying that. I've been seeing some more support on that. So thank you for everybody that's been doing that. It means a lot. The Discord, join that if you want to chat it up. In the meantime, I haven't been very active there because I've been very burned out on anything. But that's kind of one of the points of Discord. Even if I'm not chatting it up, the more people that do that, the more that you have that you can talk to and all. Because I don't want to be in a position where I know that there are some people that really depend on Smark Moment for being, a community for things. And I don't want that to go away. But at the same time, we're looking at a dire situation. So
I don't know. And I've said this before, and I think we know this to be true. I don't know if it ever goes away completely, but we're trying to avoid the drastic, extreme restructuring that seems to be inevitable with each passing day.
I mean, there is a very good chance that Smark Moment goes away entirely, but there's also a very good chance that it doesn't go away entirely, but it becomes a 2 podcasts a month thing or something. Like, let's face it, you can't do everything forever if it's not working, and I'm feeling that pressure. So I don't want to bog this down too much and get, just everybody to be like, God damn it.
I know, I said I was excited about Battleground, you jerk.
Yeah. So if you want to know more, let me know. You know how to reach out. You can send feedback and all that stuff. Share your support. It's greatly appreciated. It's going to help out a lot. And that is all I'm going to probably talk about on this episode. So we should talk about Battleground, and I'm going to try to talk about Battleground as much as I can, but this Invisalign is currently cutting my tongue. So let me actually pop that out. You got that on camera? Not on camera. You got that on audio.
You got the audio. Yeah.
Yeah. That hurts. For anybody that's wondering about the dental health stuff when it comes to the wisdom teeth, if you have not gotten your wisdom teeth taken out, trust me, it is easier than I expected that it would be. I'm still not eating normally, but I only had the one side taken out, and I'm going to be doing the next side whenever the hell, I don't know. I got to figure it out. That's expensive too, so it's another whole thing. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought I might die during it, honestly, because of some health things, and I didn't. So maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. I gotta stop making these jokes that are there's a truth behind a little bit of jokes.
All right, yeah. Look, all right, guys, I'm taking over the podcast. I guess. You know who might need some dental work after NXT Battleground is either Lola Vice or Shayna Baszler, because they're going to be competing in NXT Underground. Tony, and
so when I go underground and 6 feet underground. No, I'll say this: Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice NXT Underground match. This is following the Natalya match that just happened, and for them to go from doing one to another in like the span of 3 weeks or something felt very strange to me. And I'm not honestly super duper expecting this to be the most amazing thing in the world, but on paper it's pretty cool because Lola Vice is an MMA person, Shayna Baszler is an MMA person. I kind of want to see them beat the tar out of each other.
They're in the UFC Apex as well. There's a great build hype package for this, which featured Josh Barnett and a bunch of other MMA fighters. They built this really strongly, and Shayna Baszler was teasing the return of the Queen of Spades. And I think she should win. I think she should say peace out to Zoe Stark and just hang out on NXT for a while. But I can also see a world where Lola Vice wins because she is the actual NXT superstar and she is on the rise. And Shayna Baszler is as Teflon as it gets. She's legitimacy personified. I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll be a fun match for that environment. And I hope we see something really special from those women.
I think that there's a chance that they actually don't even have great chemistry together, and that it looks like it's one of those things that on paper is probably going to be. Did I use on paper already? I think I already did.
Mm-hmm, you did.
So apparently I have paper on the mind. If they seem like they could be working out really well, and sometimes that just means like, okay, everything's flying by as easily as it should be. That's not a phrase. What the hell am I thinking? And sometimes that ends up being the type of thing where you're like, man, these two people seem like they should work perfectly, and it just doesn't work. So I'm not getting my hopes up super high for it, but there is a lot of potential. And I'm leaning more towards Shayna winning, because I think that if Lola wins, they need to put her in a spot where she is like very quickly going to challenge for a championship. And there aren't a whole lot of options of what would make sense for that. I'll spoil this. I think Roxanne's going to retain. So I don't think Lola Vice versus Roxanne Perez is happening again. And then that means push her towards the NXT Women's North American Championship. And I don't think if a babyface wins that, which they may not even win it, that the next thing that they're going to do is just drop it to Lola. So Lola also squeaked by a victory with Natalya in a way that I don't think they could just do that again with Shayna. So I think at the end of this, it's going to be Lola puts up a good fight, but Shayna beats her.
I think I'm going to co-sign that and say Shayna Baszler beats Lola Vice. This does not affect my fantasy league, which I am winning, by the way. Go to wwefantasyleague.com. I am winning. That's the only reason Tony is salty and wants to get rid of the website. It's got nothing to do with anything else. He's just trying to screw me. But you know what?
I mean, if I lose this one, then I think I end up being no longer in the lead of most fantasy league wins, or like it might be that I might
have to win. Though.
I might still have the most fantasy league wins, but I might not have the majority of them. I forget what it was, but
be that as it may, because these predictions don't actually count, I'm just gonna agree with you and say Shayna wins, and I think she should go on a Queen of Spades run. And you know, NXT. One thing NXT does great, Tony. We're recording this late at night after the episode on June 4th,
2:16 a.m. If anybody's wondering.
And you know, this show tonight was 90% women, and NXT's really good at presenting its women. The women are different. It's a kind of hybrid era of like the divas, glam, and bratty vibes, and also, you know, that original NXT, we're also going to wrestle. I like that crossover a lot, and I like the idea of crowning your first ever NXT Women's North American Champion in a ladder match featuring Lash legend Kelani Jordynne, Ruca, Fallon Henley,
Michin, and Jaida Parker. Which is a well-rounded type of group of people, because you have 3 baby faces in Ruca, Kelani Jordynne, and Michin. One of them is a veteran that's on the main roster. You've got Lash Legend, who's in like this kind of tweener category at this point. You got Fallon Henley, who relatively recently turned heel, and Jaida Parker, who's been a heel from pretty much the start. Couple different types of styles. Lash Legend is super tall. Kelani Jordynne is super tiny. Ruca is, you know, more of the like finesse, like look at the stuff that she can do. Michin is more like, all right, well, she's the badass. Like if anybody's going to be a brawler, it's going to be like her or Jaida Parker probably. Fallon Henley is like a solid pick. I could see them going in any direction. And
that's my favorite thing about this match, the unpredictability.
Yeah, it's very unpredictable. This is the one match that I'm like, okay, I don't feel very confident in picking somebody. And even if I rule a couple people out, like I think it's pretty safe that we can rule Michin out. I don't think she's got much of a chance to win.
Yeah, I would assume so.
And I'm not thinking that Kelani Jordynne is necessarily going to win. I don't think Jaida Parker is either. I'm mostly going between Fallon, and Lash. And Lash feels a little too obvious to me. So I'm
broke up with Trick Williams tonight.
Right. She did the whole thing where she's like, whatever this is between us, it has to end because I need to win that women's title. And Trick was like, cool, I get it. Good luck, That could be just the most obvious thing, and then they just go with Lash Legend, and then it becomes like, okay, well, now she's champion and he's champion, and then, this like power couple type of thing. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. I'm leaning towards Sol Ruca here for two reasons mostly. One, they really seem to like her. I mean, they like everybody that's on this list. And Michin, it seems less so, but, they really like Sol Ruca. And number two, they have a heel women's champion. It's good to be able to do a variety of things. And Sol Ruca being champion, she's the most like standout babyface out of this list. Where if they want to then have Sol Ruca versus Lola Vice, or they want to have Sol Ruca versus, returning Cora Jade or something, whatever it might be, then they can do that separate feud while they still build up other babyfaces to fight Roxanne.
Is Sol Ruca the one that hurt JC?
I'm blanking on that now. I think she didn't, if I'm remembering correctly. I think JC might have gotten injured in the match with Thea.
I'm going to look it up real quick, but while I do that, I'm also going to talk about I love almost all the women in this match.
Screw you, the one or two that he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, and even then, it's like, I think Kelani Jordynne would make an amazing NXT North American champion. She could really be the Wesley of the brand, do the open challenges and be the spunky champion with heart.
She had a really like a political speech on this episode where it's like, I believe in Kelani Jordynne, kind of.
She was trying things. I think Fallon Henley deserves anything. Something. I've been a fan of Sol Ruca since the minute I saw the Soul Snatcher as a finisher. I said she can be Sting for this brand. The plucky baby face.
That's Soul.
I'm gonna give you a baby face and a heel. I'm thinking either Sol Ruca or Jaida Parker. And they like Jaida Parker. Do not get it twisted. Jaida Parker is a breakout star. She is amazing. That would help me fantasy league wise because you guys laughed. But no, I see what they see in her, and I think she's got a good shot. I'm gonna say, gun to my head, Sol Ruca. But I think it could be absolutely anybody in this match.
I wonder how many other podcasts out there use the phrase "gun to my head" the way that we do.
As much as we do, not a lot of them.
Especially when you browse TikTok and people do things like they say "unalived" and like they kind of like they were drinking alcohol, like kind of thing or something, like I gun to my head, loaded or not, I am leaning more towards Sol Ruca. I think that she is in a position that they don't necessarily want to give her the NXT Women's Championship, but she could work her way towards that, and maybe this is the test run that she gets. Because I have more faith that either Sol Ruca or Lash Legend would win the NXT Women's Championship in it, however many months, than Kelani Jordynne or Michin or Fallon Henley or Jaida Parker. And sometimes that could be just the answer right there, is if they don't want to play somebody at the higher tier, then they give them the mid-card title, because they've done that with other people like Ricochet or, Velveteen Dream. Didn't win the NXT Championship. And look at somebody like a Tyler Breeze. I mean, they didn't, if they would have had the NXT North American Championship around that time, he definitely would have won that thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't have it. Apollo Crews definitely would have won that. And now that they're doing that for the women, this is going to be the first real test of what they want to do.
The women. I think I'm probably going to say Jade Parker, just because I think she's great, but I think Sol Ruca would be the standout babyface single.
Now, keeping with this discussion about the women's championship and all, Roxanne Perez is defending the NXT Women's Championship against the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Jordynne Grace. If you didn't know that she was going to be coming to WWE with multiple other things, man, this is even more of a reason to be like, sign her up as soon as she can. And Jordynne Grace is in a position where, man, would it be fun if they actually had her win that belt.
If they pulled the trigger on Jordynne, oh, absolutely. The press that this gets. The TNA Knockouts champion wins the WWE NXT championship in the UFC Apex. I made that joke earlier, but it's fucking... How crazy is that?
Yeah.
When Jordynne showed up last week, nobody was thinking about this.
Not at all. I was just like, man, they're really dragging their ass on this thing with Roxanne Perez. And like, they're not announcing this Trick Williams thing and all, which we'll get into that. But I was like, at least they're building towards something with Trick and Noam Dar. With Roxanne, they're just not having her do anything. What the hell is the point in this? Like, nobody's being built up. And it never once crossed my mind that they would do something like this.
Yeah, and I think Jordynne Grace is a tremendous professional wrestler who could headline Mania if she wanted to. I genuinely believe that. Roxanne Perez is coming into her own as a heel. She's getting it. Slowly but surely, it's starting to click. And I think if you're asking me what I would do, I think Jordynne Grace should win.
If you're asking me what I would do, I would book Jordynne Grace to win as well.
Yeah, like...
Because it would be like, look, Roxanne dropping that belt hurts her in some ways because it would be like, all right, well, you know, she didn't hold that for like the super longest time and all. But I would be like, it's worth it because people are going to go nuts for that. And not just the people that are in the arena, but the people that are watching that and the people that are wondering, like, I would jump immediately onto that, especially if I was in like, you know, a different mindset about being like, what does this mean? Who are the other people? Are we going to have the NXT Women's Championship defended on TNA? Are we going to have more TNA people pop up? What is somebody going to beat Jordynne Grace to win the TNA Knockouts World Championship? Is this going to be whatever? Like, that would be so much more interesting. But if you're asking me what I think is going to happen, Roxanne's going to cheat to win.
Roxanne should probably win and then build towards a match with Julia in 3 weeks at Heatwave. If Julia can even go in 3 weeks. You know, maybe that's the plan. Maybe Julia can't go. And then you're like, hey, you got Jordynne Grace.
And Roxanne could always win it back.
She could win it back on a TNA show.
Yeah, you could do that.
There's nothing stopping anyone from doing anything cool. You know what? I say let's have surprises. Jordynne Grace wins the NXT Women's Championship.
I'm going to stick with Roxanne just for the safe bet of it all. Cool concept, though. I'm really a big fan of that.
Absolutely.
What I'm not the biggest fan of, and I don't understand why they're doing this necessarily, the triple threat for the NXT North American Championship. Oba Femi against Wesley against Joe Coffey. When this whole thing started out as Wesley, Josh Briggs, and Ivar trying to get a match with Oba Femi. And then Ivar's injured, and Josh Briggs loses that match where Joe Coffey takes Ivar's place. And then Josh Briggs he moved on to a feud with Sean Spears, which is actually doing more for Javon Evans than it's really weird what's happening with this.
They like Javon Evans. Javon Evans is going to be a champion within the next 6 months, I'd say.
Hopefully when I still have him on my fantasy league team. But he is like, he being Javon Evans is taking even more of a precedent over the Josh Briggs thing. And Josh Briggs is completely out of this, and Ivar's injured, and Joe Coffey gets thrown into the mix there. And I've long said I've not been the biggest Gallus fan. I think that they're the types of guys that, like, they're good enough hands, but I couldn't get invested in them. And they've had some good matches, but I've never been a big fan of their characters. And I don't look at a match like this and think Joe Coffey has any chance to win. I just look at it and go, okay, Femi is going to pin Joe Coffey, so that way Wesley can be like, you didn't beat me and I want to have a singles match. And then
I don't know, they're pushing
Wesley
Gallows pretty hard.
And it's weird because Gallows does get these wins once in a while where they had that run with the tag titles, and it's just like, okay, wow, okay, Mark Coffey won the Heritage Cup at a time where I didn't think that was a chance to do that. And you can't count them out, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's Femi's chance to lose this. And I think that there's more of a chance that he would lose it to Wesley than to Joe Coffey. Now, Wesley could pin Joe Coffey, and that could be a way to keep Femi from looking weak.
Yeah, and Femi probably shouldn't take the pin here, but I think it's a good time to take the belt off of him. Just start building towards that eventual match with Trick. If you ask me, I would probably give it to Joe Coffey, because otherwise, what the fuck are they doing on the show? Why aren't they on the main roster where every Scottish superstar has suddenly been rediscovered? Alba Fire, Isla Dawn getting shots at Clash at the Castle, Piper Niven. They should be Drew McIntyre's Shield.
Been pitching that for a while, yeah. Like, that seems like the thing that would make the most sense. And now I'm at a point where I don't think that Drew McIntyre is winning that belt. So now I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to rescind my support for that. But I do think that they should be a part of that. He should be like, I need some actual friends, and I've got the Gallus boys, and I'm going to run roughshod over that.
They're the Gallus away boys. Gallowayus.
It took me a second. I was like, where are you going with this? The U.S., whatever is that?
Yeah, for anyone not in the know, Drew's real name is obviously Drew Galloway. So, Gallus away.
So, I don't think Joe Coffey's winning this. Like I said, I think that he's taking the pin from either Femi or Wesley. And between those two, if we weren't guaranteed to be crowning a North American championship for the women, I would think, if anybody's confused about that, check out the Moonraker episode of A Review to a Kill on Fanboys. If we didn't already have one guaranteed title change, and then I'll put it out there, I think that we were going to get another one too, then I would think maybe Wesley. But I'm leaning more towards Femi just pins Joe Coffey.
I think Femi, if he pins anyone, it's going to be poor Wes. But I think, you know what? I want to change it. I think Femi wins because he's a monster.
Now, the other thing that I do think has a chance to change hands is the NXT tag team titles. The Supersonic duo, Axiom and Nathan Frazer, are going up against the OC, a.k.a. the Good Brothers, a.k.a. Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson, a.k.a. Karl Anderson and Doc Gallows, a.k.a. Festus and Karl
a.k.a.
Anderson.
the Big LG and the Machine Gun, a.k.a. Bullet Club.
A.k.a. Fake Kane and Karl Anderson.
A.k.a. Chad Too Bad and Steve Ferguson.
Yeah. A lot of AKAs. Meanwhile, Axiom is AKA A-Kid.
And he's the Machine Gun.
They really love doing the Axiom joke, too. Like, there was a thing, like that was like, 2 weeks ago or so, where they were like hanging around backstage and talking about the NXT Heritage Cup and being like, hey, Axiom, your name's not on here. Look, there's this and there's that, and there's somebody named A-Kid. I don't know whatever happened to that guy. And like, they love doing that joke. And it's
for
like,
some reason, it's really just tickling somebody backstage.
And it's like, it's somebody like me that's just like, nah. And that's it. And then you just keep pitching it every fucking week. I was surprised when Nathan and Frazer and Axiom won these belts to a certain extent. When it reached the point where we were like, okay, well, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker are probably going to drop them. Then it was like, okay, well, that doesn't make a whole lot. Yeah, we're not. doing the craziest prediction here, but winning them in general was not something that I had on my bingo card for 2024. And they've held them long enough at this point that I am on board with going like, okay, Gallows and Anderson win these belts.
You know, they could do a really cool thing. We haven't even touched on this, where the OC is just champions in NXT. They can have Michin win.
True. But she hasn't been interacting with them.
Well, no, but now they're heels again with AJ.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting moves we're making, huh?
The not retired AJ Styles.
But no, I think it's time for the Good Brothers to win. I thought they were going to beat the Wolf Dogs.
Same here.
I thought they were going to beat the Wolf Dogs with Tamatonga's help. I could have never guessed how any of this was going to go.
And I'm sticking with the Good Brothers pick. I think that whether they have a long title reign or a short title reign, they cross this off their list. It gives them something to do. And it's not like Nathan Frazer and Axiom losing to Gallows and Anderson is going to make them look bad. And then you can put them more on like main event and speed, and there's other tag teams that can get into the mix. We could have somebody from TNA fight the Good Brothers at the next pay-per-view. Or we could get a new tag team set of champions of like, I don't know. Let me bring up the roster real quick. The handy dandy smarkoutmoment.com roster page, which is one of the pages that everybody clicks on. It's one of the most. Still not as much as that heel and face turn list. I don't know why that's so popular, but whatever. It could be Chase University that beats them. Or it could be finally Malik Blade and Idris Enofe sort it all out. Or it could be Gallus that beats them. Or it could be a tag team that gets put together of somebody. Maybe we get like Briggs and Brooks back, and maybe we get Hank and Tank. Probably not, but there's a lot of options here. The Angelo family could win them back. And Dante Chen could have a new friend and keep this trend of winning going or whatever. We haven't seen Javier Bernal in a long time. A Metaphor could win them. Like, there are options. So I think that the Good Brothers winning this makes the most sense. You move on to a more established team. Axiom and Nathan Frazer. It's not like they're going to look like complete idiots or anything like that. So I'm going to go with titles change hands.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, I thought they were going to beat the Wolf Dogs. So yeah, they're definitely going to win here.
And then what we thought was going to be Trick Williams versus Noam Dar is actually Trick Williams versus Ethan Page. And we mentioned this on the hot tags of being like, whoa, okay, that's another thing too on that Jordynne Grace episode. Ethan Page joining the NXT roster, very cool. It's not the same as if like MJF joined the main roster for, the big moves of those kind of things. If Kenny Omega joined fucking Monday Night Raw, everybody would go absolutely crazy. And people go nuts when CM Punk moves or Edge or, whatever. Ethan Page is in an NXT role. And Ethan Page was struggling, let's be honest, in AEW. He was not really getting a whole lot of ground, and he was just hanging around in ROH and all. So it's either a lateral move or it is an upgrade. And I'm of the opinion that's an upgrade. I think that you are too.
Yeah, like I mentioned this before, it doesn't change the level of excitement, but given where he was and given where he is, it's a major upgrade and probably a major confidence boost for him as well.
And it's going straight to being in what I'm assuming is going to be the main event. Might be the NXT Underground match. I don't know. And if Trick hadn't just won this title, I think that there would be a solid chance that Ethan Page would win. But losing this, losing his first match and all, I don't think that they're going to do it in a way that makes him look bad. I think that Trick is going to retain the title, but Ethan Page is going to come out of this being like, okay, now I'm all fired up and now I have to take my frustration out on people. And, maybe he teams up with Brian Pillman or Lexus King. Maybe he shacks up with Sean Spears or, keeps it solo, not Sikoa. And something happens in the future that maybe he wins the North American title from whoever beats Oba Femi or something. I don't know. But I don't think Ethan Page is winning this championship. But if he did, can't say that I would think that it's the absolute worst thing that would ever happen. I just think that the Trick's going to keep it for a while.
No, I think it'd be a very good thing that if it happened. But I do think they're heavily invested into Trick Williams, and they're probably going to keep it that way. So, sadly, I'm going to say Ethan Page doesn't get by the first match he has and loses to Trick Williams, and maybe gets it down the line.
Yeah, maybe he's the guy that beats Trick in the future. Maybe he's the guy that beats Trick. But I like this idea that they just said, screw it. Let's just do that. That's fun. And I hope that it's not falling into the AEW trap of you bring somebody in and you immediately give them a title shot, they lose, and then you don't have anything to do with them. But that remains to be seen. For all we know, that they really are into Ethan Page, and that's why they're giving him this spot, and that they're not going to drop the ball. Or maybe they're like, let's be fun for one shot, and then we'll figure it out. But I definitely think that that is like the title that has the least likely chances of changing hands.
I don't know if I'd say it's the least likely to change hands, but it's hard because Trick is over like a motherfucker, and it's great. He does the whoop that trick, and the whole crowd's with him, and you have Booker T adding to the entrance, going, "Yeah, I like it. Like it's a fun experience."
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
that's like Trick.
That's Trick. But Booker T is great. But I'm gonna say Trick wins, but I'm not as convinced that it's super unlikely like you are.
Well, that is the current lineup of it. 6 matches. That's usually around what they do. And if they announce anything more in the meantime, you'll see some updates on smarkatmoment.com. I, again, want to stress, I don't know for sure if we're going to have a post show. It may or may not happen in one fashion or another, but that is all the more reason why you should make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you ring that notification bell, because that way you get your email alert when we do go live, if that's the case. More than likely, if that is something where I'm, let's put it this way. If I'm home and I'm watching and I'm doing this live, then there's like a 95% chance that we're going to have that, if not more. And if the live coverage is just like, okay, well, Tony hasn't updated it and the pay-per-view started, then yeah, then I'm more than likely not going to do it because I'm probably out. But sometimes you have to prioritize pizza and friends. And
I think that I always prioritize pizza and friends. And
the world would be a lot better if everybody prioritized pizza and friends.
The world would be... Alright, this is narcissistic. I don't care. The world would be a lot better if there were just a couple more people like you and me. And, for anyone who's worried about the bleak humor that we've used throughout this podcast, you should know that it's okay. Tony and I are keeping each other company, and
you know what we're doing? Do you ever see those things that people do where it's like they're both exhausted, but they lean on each other's backs in a way that like the geometry works, where they're like, okay, well, that's the only way we can like mathematically stand up. Yeah,
and that's exactly what we're doing. And I just want to put that out there for anyone who might be a tad concerned for you, Tony, but if you're not, there's nothing to be concerned about.
I don't want to say that, but be concerned. Donate to the Patreon.
Donate to the Patreon and show your support, because I think it would greatly change our moods.
And like, look, I'm playing around with it a lot when I'm joking on this podcast and stuff, but like, I'm also serious. So like, no, like, what's the nicest way of saying? People always say you should say things, and then there you go. So I do want to make sure that if anybody is like, I mean, anybody hears this kind of stuff and they're like, hey, I guys, I don't really want to hear that stuff. Yeah, maybe don't leave a comment about that, but maybe like reach out through the feedback or something. Maybe if it's like triggering or something, then yeah, we could try to tone that down or whatever. But I've always been told that people like the transparency. So, when I'm having a good day, I mention that. I talk about, oh man, the burger that I had was fantastic or something like that, which I didn't have a burger tonight, but I had some very good shrimp scampi. And
I love that for you.
Yeah, I can eat that at least right now. So, what was your dinner? A little bit of snack talk.
I had some pasta, some leftover garlic pasta with some chicken, and just doing that. I'm probably gonna do that again tomorrow, and then figure out Thursday.
Yeah, I have some leftover pasta, and I ran out of the shrimp, so that's going to turn into tomorrow a chicken scampi.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
you can't go wrong with it. It's one of the main food groups, as I said one time.
It really is, And I mean, we're sitting here talking about snack talk, and unfortunately, there's no Tony D'Angelo, so we can't speculate on pasta dishes.
Yo, the gabagool or whatever.
Yeah, I wanted to put that out there. That like, we know it sounds bleak, and in some ways it really is, but in some ways, it only means that we're working harder to get to a place where it's better for us and it's better for Smark at the moment. Because of course, in the perfect world, we would love to give more to Smark at the moment, but we can't give more unless you show that you want more. And you really should consider that, because every now and again it really helps. It helps lift the spirits.
And it is just one of those things that, TV shows get canceled when people don't watch them, and restaurants go out of business when people don't eat there, and push comes to shove with certain things. So don't push and shove us down, lift us up. And whether we are doing something for NXT Battleground or not, actually, I don't know for sure if I'm even going to be doing the hot tags this week, because I'm not entirely sure if I have to do something based off of the wedding. that I might end up being in that position. I don't know for sure. So, whether or not I am a part of doing a hot tags thing, or we don't skip that this week or whatever it might be, if this is the last podcast before we get to Battleground, whether we do the post show or not, I want everybody to enjoy the pay-per-view. I have no control over it, but I hope that everybody does. Coverage in some fashion. We will talk about it at some point, if not for a post show or something. So,
absolutely.
If I have it my way, I'm going to be around forever. If I, at the very least, I'm going to do my best to be here until Monday. So the plan is to try to do this. May or may not be guest starring Drew, and the pay-per-view is happening Sunday, so set your clocks, get your calendar all set up for 7 something or other. It's like 4:30 p.m. Pacific, I think, or something. All these West Coast kind of things, they throw me off. But hey, that's the world that we're living in right now. We just did the whole Saudi Arabia pay-per-view and the France pay-per-view, so none of these are sticking to the same time frame anymore. But Viva Las Vegas and NXT Battleground looks like it's going to be some fun. I'm excited to see how they tweak this UFC Apex and do something with that. That's going to be kind of interesting just to see what that it's all about. And I hope that it's great. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. So remember, everybody, show your support. Make sure that you are clicking around on things like fanboysanonymous.com. Make sure you are checking out my articles on What Culture, now that I've started to write it for them. And I am not entirely sure which the next one is going to be. It's either going to be something about NXT people that should be in TNA, or TNA people that should be in NXT, or people that are struggling on the main roster since WrestleMania. It's one of those 3 most likely. But check out the link tree, amangotree.com. It's a link to all sorts of different things. Follow me on all those different platforms and stuff. share me around, pass things my way, post things towards Instagram or whatever. I don't really check Instagram all that much. Pretty much my Instagram is only if somebody tags me in something. And usually it's my friend Nick being like, look at this funny wrestling thing. But hit me up on Twitter. Send a tweet. I'll respond. AnthonyMango.com, exactly the same. And make sure that you're not just following me, but you're following Rob as well.
Yep. Follow me everywhere at Dude Fleece. Check out Fightful. I'm sure there'll be lots of scoops from Corey and Sean and the team. But most importantly, follow me at Dude Felice. Check out my work at dudefelice.com. Stay tuned to where else you can see me besides Fightful if things like that ever come. But I will say stay tuned to the sister website, Fanboys Anonymous, because I'll have an article up there in the next few days about what I would do to create an X-Men 97 video game. That would be a part of it, yes.
Then immediately I just think about the Colossus sound from the arcade where he's just like, ah. He used to do that constantly.
Welcome to Die.
Yeah. Such a great game. Yeah. All right, everybody.
Yeah, that's the pitch. The pitch is how are we going to do that game, but make it modern. There you go.
Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for whatever else is happening to Fanboys and Smark Out Moment and the world and us. And we will see you either in the hot tags, or we will see you in a dark cast, or we will see you for Battleground, or something else. I don't know. Stay tuned one way or another. And we love you all. And that's going to do us in. Thanks for listening. This has been another Smark Out Moment. And we're being counted out.